welcome. You are listening to Bras, Panties and Sports. And I just want to say that the Supreme Court did not rule that we couldn't be on, because that's about all they've been doing is taking stuff away. Now, I'm Spitface. You're here. Welcome. We want to welcome the host, the First Lady of Sports Talk, Cheryl Smith. Happy Born On Day.
Good morning. Yes, today is my born day, and I feel so blessed to be here for another year because, like it happens, some people don't make it for another year, but I'm so thankful, and I'm ready to go, Spitface.
Yeah, it was maybe the production, because it was a few sports figures that passed away this week. So, it was a couple. Yeah, so, but hey, we glad that the First Lady is here so that we can enjoy her views, and we want many more. We ain't done with you, First Lady, so you ain't going nowhere. All right, check out the music this week on Shout Out. We are featuring performances from David Gibbons. Will he find his shining star? Get the cold feel of the mute button. First Lady, we're ready. What you say?
Each week we try to figure out what is going on in the sports world, not the plays of the week, more like the players of the week. Are they trying to tell us something? So we ask, what you saying? Fly, little birdie, fly. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Time keeps on slipping into the future. So I want to fly like an eagle to the sea. Fly like an eagle, let the spirit carry me. I want to fly right into the future. The little birdie known as Jabari Smith flew right into the arms of the Houston Rockets, who were more than happy to have this little birdie land in their nest. The Orlando Magic and Oklahoma Thunder both passed on the consensus number one pick for Paolo Banchero and Chet Holmgren, respectively. Will the Magic and Thunder end up regretting passing up Jabari? Did the Rockets get a franchise player the easy way? Dumb luck. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, rest in peace. Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr., and the Steve Miller Band are asking, what you saying? Well, Spitface, I won't be honest with you. It was surprising that Jabari Smith didn't go number one, and the only reason why it was really surprising because it had been rumored for weeks that Orlando was picking Jabari as their number one pick. I mean, the funny thing about it, they never spoke with Paolo Banchero, which in today's draft recruiting is very surprising because most of the time you hear that you speak with your potential recruits to see how they fit in your culture. The interview process is so much big part of your recruiting process. Now, I'm going to disagree. It's not going to be a big issue for the Thunder because the Thunder always was going to pick Chet Holmgren. If the Thunder had the number one pick, they were going to pick Chet Holmgren. And, but the Magic team, the Orlando Magic, they're the team, when you go back retrospectively and look at this draft and look on the fact that they passed Jabari Smith, their careers, Banchero's and Smith's careers will always be compared to each other. Now, I mean, the only way Orlando regret choosing Banchero if he is a bust. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. You said it was Jabari Smith, the producer said Jabari Smith was the consensus number one. Not really. I disagree with that totally because for this draft, really, they did not really have a consensus number one because either three of them could have easily been number one. It depends on what you wanted. And like I had said, the OKC, they were picking Chet Holmgren because if they had the number one pick, Chet Holmgren would have been the number one pick. And so, to be honest, many pundits felt this draft did not have a clear number one pick. All three players could easily have been number one. Now, Holmgren was the player with the most upside, and he was unique because of his height, shooting skills, and the ability to drive. they liken him to Kristaps Porzingis. Well, we, as a Knicks fan, we know about Kristaps Porzingis, and he was a unicorn. But hopefully Holmgren won't get hurt the way Kristaps Porzingis does. Now, Holmgren's body looks like a toothpick or Gumby because he's very thin, and he just got poor body type. But we'll see. Now, Banchero was the player that was NBA ready. His body, and he has a mid-range game, but his three-point shooter, he can definitely work on that. Now, finally, you had Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith was probably the most offensively gifted player. He can shoot from the inside, the outside, drive. He was being compared to Kevin Durant. So, you have somebody being compared to Kevin Durant, and supposedly he played good defense. So, the Rockets would have gotten a franchise player anyway because, if they had gotten Banchero, who they were supposed to get, I don't consider, to me it wasn't dumb luck that they got Jabari Smith. It was surprising, and the only way, like I said, it was surprising was because he had been rumored going to the Orlando Magic, and I still haven't really heard why all of a sudden Orlando Magic decided to go with Banchero. Maybe they was being coy. Usually you're coy and now don't let people who you're picking when you're not the number one pick. But damn it, you were the number one pick, so you had to pick up the litter. Right. It made absolutely no sense, to be honest with you, really, for them to do the last-minute change unless they really were conflicted on who they were going to pick. So, to me, I find it crazy that they never interviewed him, and I really do think that was the issue. But now, when it comes to dumb luck, you want to say the Detroit Pistons had dumb luck because they'd gotten probably the player that had the most upside, and that was guard Jaden Ivey. And I know I wanted the Knicks to give up some of those assets and go after Jaden Ivey, but they didn't want to do that. And what they did, and when I say dumb luck, the Pistons also got Jalen Duren, who's a good center, and the only reason why they got that because the Knicks decided that they wanted to clear cap space, and they traded Kemba Walker's $9 million salary to Detroit, and they attached the first-round draft pick to do it. I ain't going to talk about what the Knicks done because we ain't talking about the Knicks. So anyway, again, we got another draft class, and I always think about when the new draft class come in, that means somebody who's old in the NBA is going to be moving out.
Going to be moving out.
Some of them going to be moving out, playing overseas, because they don't retire right away. They linger for a while. They go overseas. Because, when you got the new class coming in, those ones who are up that, who are like just barely making teams, they're going to move out. So they're going to have we got to get ready for the new blood. So, this was a very deep draft, and actually they said next year's draft is going to be even deeper. So we'll have to wait and see for next year's draft. But anyway, it was quite interesting. There was some surprising things there. All right, Spitface, what you saying about this?
I'm one of the things, First Lady, is that for the Houston Rockets to get a good draft, to pick a good player in the draft is always dumb luck. We're not talking about a franchise that, other than in their glory days, was picking the right player with that number one pick. So they was dumb and lucky because they are already dumb. But if you look at it, as you kind of pointed out, everybody is in a win-win situation. Because, like you said, you could shuffle the deck and either Paolo or Jabari or Chet could have been the number one pick. So you could, kind of shuffle them cards, and so nobody was going to lose. The question is like, as you kind of pointed out, if you don't interview a player, so you don't get a feel for how they might acclimate to what you're getting ready to, what you doing on your team. Now, you might say, well, hey, look, they got so much talent that that doesn't matter. They're a player, and they're about to step up and be a pro player, so it really doesn't matter. But then that says something. Like, why are you doing all these interview processes if it's going to come down to just the ability and skill? If that's the bottom line, why? Because I put it like this. If you want to know how someone's going to behave, if you want to be able to, predict that, then you look at the behavior they already are exhibited. And there's plenty of that. So it ain't like these guys haven't been, they don't know how many times the guy farts at night. No, they don't have. They already got that down. They worse than the FBI. And I'm not insulting the FBI, but I mean worse in the sense that if they want to find out something, they be finding out. And because they ain't going to spend millions of dollars and not know already how the person behaves. So, it started, to do that kind of makes the interview process seem like a big farce. When the bottom line is going to be, how talented and do we think you are? And now I actually go with the most teams, the vast majority of teams, they want to see if the person going to be a fit because, hey, you bring somebody in, especially at top dollar, and they too immature. That career can be over quick, fast, in a hurry. So, doing that makes sense. But the way the Magic did it kind of makes you, wonder, okay, all right, what are you getting? And because, the young man can play. He can play. Like I said, hey, either one of them could have, whether it was Paolo, Chet, or Jabari, could have had that number one pick. So, but I don't think that the Magic, I don't think any of the teams will regret Magic or the Thunder on passing up Jabari because they know what they want to do, or at least their fans hope they know what they want to do. Now, as far as Rockets fans are static. Y'all got somebody, other than, the Rockets didn't have to make a reach to get a player that maybe, is going to turn out to something. So they didn't have to do that, which it took some pressure off the Rockets because it's like, oh, well, hey, this fell in our lap. So Rockets fans are fine. They'll find a way for Jabari to fit into the culture. It's just that with Jabari go, after 3-4 years go, do I want to stay here with the Rockets? So the Rockets as a team need to get their act together. But they've been bringing in the youth, and if you want to build a championship team, you got to bring in the youth. You got to, you need some key vets to let's say teach folks the game. But you got to build through the draft. So the Rockets, I think, came out really good, really good. Now they ain't going nowhere in the playoffs, next season. But I think they'll be real competitive, and maybe they'll slide into that last slot. But at least they'll be competitive, and you can see good times happening in the future. That's what I'm saying, First Lady.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I think the Rockets, who knows? The Rockets might make the playoffs. I know I have to see what their odds are coming out of Vegas, but I wouldn't put a couple dollars on them to get to the playoffs.
I ain't saying,
you never know.
I did say they would be competitive, so,
Mm-hmm. You never know. You may be surprised. But, again, I'm still trying to figure out why I was just trying to double check, again, why the Orlando had chosen Banchero over Smith. So it just made you think that they really weren't clear cut on who they wanted to pick. I don't think they did eeny, meeny, miny, mo type of situation, but
are you sure?
I don't know. Maybe there was some, maybe some people in the organization wanted one, and somebody just decided to make the final rule on it. But it's a little bit, it's a little bit head scratching, I guess is the word I want to use. So again, like I said, these three players are going to be compared. And we'll see what happens, because usually what happens every 2-3 years, they'll go back and redraft people in the order based on how they perform. That's usually what happens with the draft class. So it'll be interesting to see how these three do, and hopefully Orlando made the right choice. All right, Spitface, over to you.
All right. This is, okay. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, rocking my peers and putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. Explosion, overpowering, over the competition, I'm towering. Wrecking shop when I drop these lyrics that'll make you call the cops. Don't you dare stare, you better move. Don't ever compare me to the rest that'll all get sliced and diced. Competition, paying the price. I'm gonna knock you out, huh? Mama said knock you out, huh? We are talking about the knockout punch to Alvin Kamara and Deshaun Watson by the NFL Commissioner's Office. Word is Kamara of the New Orleans Saints is looking at a 6-game suspension for an incident that left him being charged with felony battery. Bad, Alvin. Word is Deshaun Watson is looking at the NFL lowering the hammer with a 1-year suspension. Now, both will lose paychecks because of their suspensions, but Kamara may lose more money for his 6 games than Deshaun for his 1 year. Say what? Apparently, Deshaun and the Browns foresaw the suspension and made the first year of his guaranteed contract his lowest paid year of the contract. Is justice served? Leroy Satchel Paige, Walter Buck Leonard, and James Cool Papa Bell are asking what you saying. First Lady, lawyers and accountants are some hell of a things. If you actually got some money, a good lawyer and a good accountant can do wonders for your behind. So, Alvin Kamara is going to lose at least 6-game checks, which I haven't, I actually don't have his salary on hand, but 6-game checks, I'll just say he at least make it $100,000 a game. So, and it's probably not way more, but more than that. So he about to lose $500,000, a little bit over $500,000 easy. Those 6-game checks, because that's what they do. They suspend you. They take away your money. Now, the Browns, I had to go, as far as the money breakdown, and I say Watson's people, they was counting them dollar bills. First Lady, his base salary for this year is $1,035,000. So, how many games they playing? So, he wasn't, he was making less than $100,000 a game for 2020 for this season. Deshaun Watson was making, I don't even know if that's the league minimum. It must be. So now next year, let's say after the suspension, his base salary is $46 million. Now all of this is guaranteed. So he gets suspended for 1 year, and all he loses is $1 million. That's it. Your punishment was you lose $1 million. Now get this: Deshaun Watson is already rich because the Houston Rockets paid him not to play. So he done made millions not playing. He's not losing anything. $1 million, that's a drop in the damn bucket for a contract that's worth, over $200 million? Okay, I got to give up $1 million. I got to give up $1 million. And I get to, I go to training camp. I can't play during the season. I go to training camp so I can, get with the organization and stuff. And I just work out for a year, and come back, boom, I get $46 million. Now, I'm sure that, I won't say I'm sure, more than likely Deshaun is going to perform when he finally gets to play. But, there are no guarantees in life. He can get hurt like anybody else. Things can happen. Like for some reason, his throwing arm might not have it. Especially with an athlete, maybe the Browns end up having a lousy team when he returns. Like things can happen with other players. So it's all unpredictable. But the one thing that they saw, Cleveland, Deshaun Watson, was that he knew he was going to get suspended. And he knew that they knew that, hey, the boom is going to get hit on us. You probably going to get a year suspension. So what we're going to do is get you the tiniest little contract for this year so that you really don't get any punishment. I don't know, First Lady. I think Donald Trump needs to talk to them folks, get some tips, because he going to need some. First Lady, what you say?
Well, of course, Watson and the Browns definitely foresaw the upcoming suspension. So, people were highly upset over his contract. But, you know what? Face, you got to give them credit for planning, right? Like you said, he had good team around him, and they planned, and they were able to devise a contract that would allow for him to lose the less money in that first year. Now, like any other, other teams could have signed Deshaun Watson. You had 30 other teams that had the opportunity to sign him. And, you can blame the NFL because they allowed him to be signed. He because they had not made a decision about his suspension. They've taken a very, very long time to make a decision. And, like a lot of people have stated, regardless if he was going through a criminal trial or whatever, one has nothing to do with the other because the NFL has nothing to do with the criminal case. They're all about, did he embarrass the Shield? What did he do to the Shield? And regardless if he was found guilty or not, something happened. So there's something happened that Shield was not protected and it was embarrassed. So, I mean, the NFL really, I don't understand, and especially now, after all of this, they've spoken to Watson about at least, I would say, 3 weeks ago. So what are they waiting for? I mean, they need to come out with a suspension, like, immediately. I don't know why it takes them so long to come out with these suspensions. But Watson's situation is completely different than Kamara's situation. I mean, Kamara's situation, like he's only getting possibly six games under the new policy that it is a minimum of 6 games for that type of offense. And first of all, there's undisputed evidence of what Alvin Kamara did. They have surveillance tapes from the casino. I just remind people he was accused of pushing and punching a guy at a casino, and several other people jumped in, and they really beat this guy up, knocked him against the wall, punched the victim several times. The group joined in, stomping on the victim's face, chest, and legs. The victim was knocked out unconscious, had an orbital fracture of his right eye, and other injuries. So there's no undisputable evidence against Alvin Kamara. I mean, he's lucky if he has a trial, I believe, or a hearing come up in August. So he's actually not out of the woods when it comes to having criminal charges brought against him. So it's going to be interesting to see how that, they probably give him, as usual with these players, they give him a reduced sentence. So, but the thing is, there's evidence. So if he gets six games, he deserves to have his money suspended. Now, Watson deserves too, but Kamara couldn't plan for his situation because if he was already under contract, I believe. So Watson wasn't. They did an extension for Watson, so he was able to maneuver a financial situation to plan for that situation when it happens. And I mean, people are upset, but they're upset, but they did it within the legal terms of the contract, and they had the right to do it. So I mean, is it justice served? No, it's not justice served. But what you going to do? You can't do it. They didn't break any laws or break any rules doing this. So to me, there's really nothing more to talk about. We just need to wait for the NFL to come down with the punishment for both cases. Now, to me, if anything, Kamara's situation, they should probably wait to see what his criminal situation is going to be. I mean, they did it for Deshaun, so why not do it for Kamara? I mean, Alvin. His situation took place when I think it was in February at the Pro Bowl. Right, it was at the Pro Bowl game.
Yeah.
So that was February, and here we are already in June, and they're going to come out with his decision so quickly. Whereas Deshaun Watson stuff happened so long ago, it's just the NFL makes absolutely no sense, and we understand that they have the new bargaining agreement where they have a panel. I believe it's a female that looks over the situation and makes recommendations. So, again, it'll be interesting, but I mean, I think both of them deserve to be punished. And if Watson is punished for a year, that would be fine with me. But once they get punished, and once Watson serves his time, it's over. And, it's a done deal. And regardless of what happened with those remaining civil cases, because it was reported that he settled 20 out of the 24 cases, which is quite interesting in itself, because, hell, he should have done that a long time ago. He should have done that a long time ago if that was the situation, because he said he was going to clear his name, but now you settling. You could have settled this when they wanted it to be settled. Maybe all of these people wouldn't have come out. You know what I mean? I mean, it came out because they got so much publicity that all these women started to come out, and the last one, I believe, who was interviewed, she came out because of his attitude, and he said he did absolutely nothing wrong. And that's when she really decided to speak out about it. And I guess, if he had settled this long time ago, I don't think the situation would have been as bad as it is now. But anyway, Spitface, that's all I got to say about these two situations.
Well, the First Lady, it like you say, hey, the bottom line is that one, Deshaun Watson has in no way cleared his name. If anything, I would say the assumption is that you did it. You will get your suspension, whatever little money you lose from your paycheck. Okay, I'll just say the settlements. Those folks will get some, I'll say, retribution. Okay, so they will. but forever he can never say that his reputation was like restored by no stretch. Now, the deal is amongst fans is that winning cures everything. So your image will be redeemed if you win. But I'm going to say not quite. I don't get that advertisers and marketers are going to, well, now that even if he's winning, now we want to have the Deshaun Watson shoe. And so they're going to be, he may not lose any NFL money, but the money he's not going to get from advertising, because this is the kind of stain that will stay on his career forever. That's all I'm saying, First Lady. And First Lady, please take us to break.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we have a performance from David Givens on Shout Out Part 1.
The music flows in from around the globe to get a shout out from the panel. First Lady, I can't wait to hear the music from David Givens.
On Shout Out, we feature new independent artists who are looking to find their shining star. If we like what we hear, we'll give the track a shout out. If we don't like it, we hit the mute. Today we are featuring David Givens out of Green Pond, New Jersey. Now, wait a minute, Spitface. I'm from New Jersey, and I know Jersey got a lot of small towns. I ain't never heard of Green Pond, New Jersey before. I'm going to have to look that up on the map because I've never heard of Green Pond. I have no idea where Green Pond, New Jersey is. And I'm going to tell you, I've been from the south to the north. I've been up and down all of New Jersey. Never heard of Green Pond. So anyway, I digress.
In the corner, in the back.
They say David Givens is a natural creative force and a boundary-pushing pop R&B EDM artist. That's that electric dance music for people who don't know those initials. Gifted with a unique and versatile talent, David makes fun, engaging, original music unlike anyone else on the scene. All right, DJ, I got to hear this David Givens out of Green Pond, New Jersey. DJ, let's hear Frequent.
I'm losing my focus. Mind playing tricks and I can't control it. These wounds too deep for a bandage. Voices say how you manage. Kept trying to push it down with a smile, but I'm losing. I can't do this. Gotta release it. Taking the first step. Process for what has left. Trying to get back to me. Can't keep holding on. Been way too strong. Waiting to exhale. It's hurting me. Breathe. I tell myself, let go is hurting me. Realign us spiritually. Things change even when it's hard to see. Shifting the frequency. I need to shift the frequency. Protect my thoughts and energy. Taking happiness within me. I need to shift the frequency. The pain ahead and that's what I'm paying for. Mind's going back to the dark zone. Can't go back to the old mode. Oh, trying to fix it. Broken and beaten, but I won't give up now. Letting go of it. Tasting the wind. He slept within. I allow myself to feel what's inside. Breaking the cycle, I try to hide. I choose to love myself, I choose to protect myself. Won't let this all die. I am worthy, I am loved, I am blessed from above. I'm choosing my happiness, I'm claiming my happiness. I am happiness. I tell myself, let go what's hurting me. Realign us spiritually. Things change even when it's hard to see. Shifting the frequency, I need to shift the frequency. Protect my thoughts and energy. Taking happiness within me. I need to shift the frequency. I speak joy in my life. I attract peace in my mind. I speak happiness for all time. I speak joy in my life. I attract peace in my mind. I speak happiness for all time. Take a minute and think of just positivity, love, and trust. Take a minute and think of just positivity, love, and trust.
Okay. Well, that was very nice. I enjoyed David Givens, and I had to look up Green Pond. And the reason why I never heard of Green Pond, because it is a private lakeside residential unincorporated community that's within Rockaway Town out in Morris County, New Jersey. So basically, it's a bunch of rich white people that live there. So that's the reason why I didn't know anything about Green Pond.
How David speak in?
That's the reason. I mean, I know where Morris County is.
He didn't sound like no white boy.
Huh?
He didn't sound like no white boy.
Oh no, because he sounded like he sang R&B music, but I believe he is. I mean, I haven't looked at it.
I saw his picture. I saw his picture. He ain't no white boy.
Oh, he's no white boy? Oh, okay. Well,
okay. I did see his picture on the album cover, so.
Oh, okay. Well, David Givens. All right. Okay. Well, maybe.
I'm going. Is this one of them cases? Is he a Hamilton child?
Let's just say somebody adopted him over there. and too many people of color in that area. But anyway, let's move on. But anyway, I'm going to shout it out. I enjoyed the music. I really did. Spitface, are you shouting it out? Or are you going to hit the mute button?
I'm going to say he was mellow. I liked him.
Mm-hmm. All right. So definitely on part 2 of Shout Out, we'll have another performance from David Givens. Is that the sound of my favorite underwater friend? Is it time for Flip It? Where's Flip It?
All right. It's time for Flip It, while hosts defend a view and then flip the script and defend their opposing view. WNBA superstar Brittany Griner is still being held hostage by the Russians, or I should say the Russian government. And her wife Cheryl says the U.S. is not doing enough to get her baby released through negotiations. Defend. Cheryl is right. The administration should be working out a prisoner swap. First Lady, you look at it, I'm looking at it and I'm going, the U.S. is, might be, Cheryl might have a point. She may have a point that, okay, look, Brittany was not a combatant, in Ukraine. Okay, Brittany was not a intelligence agent for the CIA. Brittany is a basketball player. A basketball player. Brittany not a diplomat. She ain't got jack to do with the U.S. government. She is a basketball player. Now, you kind of look and you go, now wait. Can't the U.S., can't you make a deal for a basketball player? Can't you make that kind of deal? And okay, all right. But yeah, can't you make that deal for a basketball player? What do you have to give up? Okay, y'all, give them some Nikes or something. Look, we'll give you, shipment of Nikes. Come on, you can make a deal. Now, the Russian government says that she apparently had some minuscule amount of marijuana oil in a vaping pen. Now, I got a feeling that, over here we had a CBD oils. Well, CBD is made from what? Marijuana. Now, maybe they don't make that distinction in is it the Republic of Russia, whatever they call themselves over there, that government. Maybe they don't make a distinction that there's CBD oil, which many people use for medical purposes versus, Thunderfunk weed. There's a big difference, CBD does not have the active ingredient that people use to get high with marijuana. So, but still, this is a basketball player. So you would think that, look, you can make some kind of deal for a basketball player. I don't know, First Lady. I think she got a point. What you saying?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's been so many problems, and her name is not Cheryl, it's Sherelle. So I just want to.
Oh man, boy! Last week I wanted the black woman mad at me for mispronouncing my name, Sherelle, baby. First she got a big old wife who can beat me up. No,
right, Sherelle Griner. But anyway, so Sherelle is very disappointed in the American government because there's been so many mishaps regarding this whole Brittany Griner situation. Number one. She hasn't spoken to Brittany, and she's been trying to speak to Brittany. And the thing is, too, the United States Embassy had botched the whole situation up because she was supposed to have a call from Brittany, and it never happened. And, people were thinking it was Moscow and Russians, but no, it was the United States Embassy that really messed things up with her trying to have a call. And she was supposed to have a call, I think, on their 4th year anniversary. That's been one issue. She also feels that Biden and them, she really hasn't spoken to Biden yet. They were supposed to have a call to speak to Biden, and that also didn't happen. And so she feels very neglected, like they're not really trying, Biden nor Vice President Harris. Is she still the Vice President? Oh, okay, I don't know. I ain't never hear too much about her.
That's why she's vice president.
I know, but my goodness gracious me, my goodness, it seems like she should be able to help out in something here going on with all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. But anyway, it's sad, and I understand that, the United States hands are tied because we're dealing with Russia, but still, there could be more dialogue between Russia and the United States because we are not talking, like you said, Spitface, we're not talking about a spy. We're talking about a basketball player who had been going to Russia for several years now. She's always played in Russia. So all of a sudden, why all of a sudden did they detain her? Because I'm quite sure that was not the first time she had the CB oil in there. I think this is something that Russia is trying to do because of the situation in Ukraine. But the situation is the State Department, they can do a lot more, and they need to they need to really start to try to get Brittany Griner back from Russia. And so, Sherelle is absolutely right. They're disrespecting her, not allowing, not being available for her to even have a call with Brittany. They're not even giving her to speak with Joe Biden in order to express her concerns and her need to have her wife back. And, they're not talking to the Russian government. So, I mean, this situation, it could be done a lot different. I mean, people are signing, people have been signing these petitions. I know I signed one to get Brittany Griner back. So, the American public wants the United States to do more. So they need to do more, and they really haven't done much, to be honest with you. So they got to do more. Sherelle is right, and Joe Biden is not doing what he needs to do.
All right. Okay. But see, this is flipped it. Well, we flip the script and defend the opposing view. Sherelle should be blaming the Russian government, not Biden and the USA. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy out of a, I don't want to call it selfishness, but a thinking that presidents have like a magic wand, and that governments around the world, if they tap that magic wand on the desk, that they fall in line. Well, never has that been true. Never has that been true. Governments, even our allies, have said, we ain't doing that. Now, we didn't say, well, now we need to be at war. You've done this. Let me do all these. Well, I forgot we did have Trump in office, so maybe that did kind of happen. But ordinarily, with normal presidencies, we're just not cognizant of the limitations of the U.S. government. They are not going to send in SEAL Team 1 to get Brittany out of Russia. That just ain't happening, And the more that you complain about the lack of effort or how or what you think the U.S. government is doing or not doing, okay, that's like, okay, your bad act is my fault. It isn't the U.S. government's fault or Biden's fault that Russia has an egomaniac dictator as the head of their country who will do anything to poke and prod and put a black eye on the U.S. We don't have control over that. And Sherelle and others should be focusing theirs on Russia. Russia is the people holding. Have there been breakdowns with, between the White House and, between the embassy? Yes. Yes. But don't get that, mixed up with, even with the she should not have been in that position in the first place. And the people who put her there is the Russian government. So we can whine and we can complain, and this is what the U.S. should be doing, but the bottom line is that she is serving Putin's purpose. You think Joe Biden wants to have another thing where he's being blamed? Oh, I want to be blamed for Brittany Griner. No, he doesn't want another thing to, and sometimes, folks, right now, a little bit of change of subject. The Supreme Court took away a right. Is that Biden's fault that they took away a right? No, it's not Biden's fault, but it will be our fault if we don't get our asses out there and vote in people who care about the people, not these folks who care about a person, the one who's probably going to end up being in an orange jumpsuit along with a few of his buddies in what used to be the grand old party. But, we got to get out of this blame. The president is not a wizard, And the U.S., for all its might, all its power, all its economic influence, is still one government amongst a whole world of governments. One government. And if our one government says we can dictate to other governments, we will quickly find ourselves alone. So we need to stop blaming Biden and the U.S. and put the focus on who is really doing it, which is the Russian government. Now, the other thing is that there are reporters being held hostage by the Russians. Now that they were doing it, they weren't athletes, simply doing their thing, but they are being held hostage as well. Are they less than Brittany Griner? That's the other thing is that, okay, because she's a WNBA superstar, that means that she should have precedence above others. I don't think so, Sherelle. I feel you, baby. I wouldn't want my loved one being held hostage. But in the grand thing, who are you? Are you thinking about, wait just a minute, this ain't just happening to your wife. This is happening to other people's children, husbands, wives that they hold in hostage. So you can be mad at the State Department. You can be mad at Biden. We ain't doing enough. What? Baby, wake up. First Lady, please defend.
Well, you are 100% right. We got to look at this situation. You're right. It is the Russian government that's responsible for detaining Brittany Griner. Now, you can say that, I have no idea, was she doing something illegal? I don't know if those items are illegal in the United States, not like in Russia, unlike they are in the United States. But regardless of the fact, they did detain her. Now, did they detain her for right reasons? Probably not. I think it's probably Putin being as evil as he is. But the situation is, you can't blame Biden for this, Sherelle. And you have to look at it. Brittany's only been detained since February 17th of this year. That's a little bit over 4 months. What happened to the Russian prisoner, U.S. Marine Trevor Reed? Remember? He was just recently swapped with the Russian. We had a Russian prisoner, and they just did a swap. He was held by the Russian government for 3 years. 3 years. And he's a U.S. Marine. So these things take time. You can't expect immediate changes for something so delicate as a prisoner being held by a foreign government that we don't have great ties with, great relations with. So we have to always understand that we're in the middle of war with Ukraine, even though the United States is not physically fighting the war. You might as well say we are, because we're providing aid to Ukraine, and you guys best believe that Vladimir Putin is upset with that situation. So he's holding on to Brittany for spite, really, and that's what it's all about. And unfortunately, it's a situation that it's going to be a little bit longer. It's going to take a little longer. I don't see this situation resolving anytime soon. It's because of the fact that Ukraine is still in a fight with Russia. Now we're talking about providing Ukraine with with fighter jets. So who knows what will happen? That's probably the reason why, you remember, they decided to push back her hearing, I believe. She was supposed to have another hearing, and they decided to detain it for another few weeks. So I wouldn't be surprised if Brittany Griner hearing is again detained for a few more weeks. Now, this is a game that the Russians are playing, and it's something that they're doing. It's something that Joe Biden's not doing. I'm quite sure they're having talks. Like I said, this Marine, U.S. Marine was in Russia prison for 3 years. 3 years. And like you said, Spitface, Brittany Griner doesn't have precedent over other people that are being held hostage. We got, like you said, we got Americans held hostage all over the world right now. So, you got to take one thing at a time. And, so far, everything has been so far good with Brittany. It doesn't seem like she's in ill health or anything, because if you remember, the poor gentleman that was held in the North Korea prison, he actually came back and died. So, so right now, Brittany Griner is really healthy, and the good thing is it seems to be well taken care of. I mean, nobody wants to be locked up. Don't get me wrong, because obviously it was my loved one. I know I'll be fighting every day trying to get them back. But you have to understand, these things take time. And unfortunately for Sherelle, she's just going to have to wait, and she can't blame Joe Biden, because the United States is doing the best that they can, and these things take time. All right, Spitface, please take us to break.
All right.
I don't know.
Well, First Lady, you can go for it, First Lady. Take us to break.
I'll take us to break, not you, Spitface. All right, stay tuned. Up next, the funnies and our favorite underwater friend on Flip It Part 2.
Free Brittany. Free Brittany.
Free Brittany. Free Mr. Vaughn. Welcome back. You are still listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. It's time for the funnies. Spitface, over to you.
Thank you, First Lady. First Lady, did you used to watch Rocky and Bullwinkle? Or that might have been after you. That might have been before your time.
But you know what? I really wasn't a Rocky and Bullwinkle fan, but yeah, I'm familiar with the
okay. Well, Rocky was a flying squirrel, and he was a bad cat. Squirrel knocks out power to 3,000 in downtown Asheville, North Carolina. A North Carolina utility company said a squirrel was to blame for a power outage that affected more than 3,000 customers. Duke Energy said more than 3,000 customers in the downtown area of Asheville, including multiple businesses and government buildings, lost power Wednesday morning when a squirrel came into contact with some wiring. Officials said power was restored just after 8:30 a.m. Wednesday. The outage led to facilities including Buncombe County's downtown office delaying their Wednesday opening until the late morning. The Minnesota Valley Electric Cooperative said 4,000 customers lost power earlier in June when a squirrel came into contact with substation equipment. The outage lasted for about a half an hour. Now, First Lady, is this Attack of the Squirrels? And then the other thing is that, now look, utility companies make billions of dollars. Now, I kind of think they could make their equipment a little more squirrel-proof. Or is there something about these squirrels that, are these some undercover squirrels, Because I'm going, hey, you know what? Y'all can't figure out how to protect your equipment from a squirrel attack. And I'm supposed to trust y'all, to provide service, reliable service. There is a disconnect if a squirrel can take you out. Now look, I'm from the country. We got a couple of shotguns. You can hire a couple of boys, to stand guard against the squirrel attack. I got started, water is splashing everywhere. It ain't a squirrel. It must be time for our favorite underwater friend. It's time for Flipping Part 2.
Buccaneers free agent Ndamukong Suh is being pursued by two playoff contenders, the Raiders and the Vikings. We wonder, which team has a better chance of making noise in the playoff with Suh? Panel defend. Suh could return to his old stomping grounds and wreak havoc. He would be with the Vikings would be more than the Raiders. He would wreak havoc more with the Vikings than the Raiders. Defend.
First Lady, he was wrecking havoc when he was with Detroit. Chasing around those, and, what I look at is, the Vikings are one of those teams that they will mess around and make the playoffs on you. But they'll get to the playoffs, and everything will come down to their offense. And, the old saying, defense is what wins you in the playoffs. And they've had some really top defenses, but just not top enough to push them through the playoffs. And for the Vikings to have Sue come to their team, now they got a shot at being able to take out or at least be in competition with the Packers. Because that's the whole deal. That's the Packers, in all the ratings, NFC, they're going to be in the top 3-4 teams with a chance to win the NFC championship. They're going to be up there as long as they got that bad man Aaron Rodgers. But that bad man Aaron Rodgers, he got to go up there. If he has to go up against a top defense with an Ndamukong Suh that can put them over, see, that makes the dynamics a whole lot more interesting. Now, the Raiders got a lot of moving parts that they're working through. They got a new head coach and a new direction. So, it's not quite, and they're playing a tough division. For Minnesota, they can swap around the Bears and swap around the Lions and stay competitive with the Green Bay Packers. They can make some noise in the playoffs. The Raiders got a long road to hoe as long as they got the Chiefs, the Chargers, hanging out there, and then the Broncos, now that they got curly-haired Mr. Wilson on their team, you got 3 top quarterbacks in that AFC West, while in the NFC Central you got 1 top quarterback. And having the Vikings, having Sue, is just what they need so that they can make some noise in the playoffs. That's what I'm saying. First Lady?
I had a little technical issue there, but Ndamukong Suh never played for the Vikings, so it's not really his old stomping grounds to come back.
Well, the NFC North.
The NFC North. Okay, that's his old stomping ground. So that's what you mean, coming back to the NFC North.
Whipping up on all them other teams.
Well, the Vikings, at one point the Vikings had a good defense and they had a good offense. A lot of people thought they were at one point Super Bowl contenders. Lately they haven't been. But, getting Ndamukong Suh can, again, beef up that front line. And, that's what Ndamukong Suh does well. He can get the quarterback. And, they still got Kirk Cousins, and they still got some offensive weapons. So having Ndamukong Suh would definitely help the Vikings. Now, to say that they will be Super Bowl contenders, I don't think that's a little stretched. But they definitely will be playoff contenders. I mean, they haven't made the playoffs. It's been 2 years, I believe, since the Vikings have made the playoffs. So I think it would be a very good situation for Ndamukong Suh. And, he's going to go where they're going to give him money. But Ndamukong Suh also going to have to look at the team because, he's getting up there in age. And he already won a championship with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So maybe he's not that he's at the point that he won a championship that eluded him for so many years. So now he can concentrate on making final dollars before he retires. And so if the Vikings are the team that give him that money, I don't blame Ndamukong Suh for going to the Vikings, even though that they're probably between the Raiders and the Vikings. I would give the Raiders a better chance of doing something more long term, and as far as being able, I mean, the Raiders are playoff ready, and with so the Vikings are not playoff ready, but Ndamukong Suh would make them playoff ready, to be honest with you. So I can see where Ndamukong Suh would want to go to the Vikings, give them a chance to make some noise in the playoffs, and if they give him the most money, there's a reason why he would go there. And like I said, because he's in his final years, and you want to make that one last big pay cut before you retire, because after you get to a certain age, you're not going to be making any more making any more big bags of money. So I think the Vikings probably would give him that best chance to make that money. All right, panel, let's defend. We're going to flip it. Suh could return. Oh, sorry, no, that's not flipping it. The Raiders having Suh gives them a chance of knocking off the big dog in the AFC West and a defense that can keep the rest of the division in check. Spitface, defend.
The Raiders really have a great situation for Suh to step into. And the Raiders also can think about KC versus Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers defense was all over a certain KC quarterback in the Super Bowl. Made him look like a top quarterback instead of the superstar quarterback. And who was one of the players leading the charge? Ndamukong Suh. And that's what he brings to the table. And right now, the Raiders, who people have written off, they've just had so much stuff go on. They had a racist head coach. They had deaths, sudden deaths, a young player. They had some controversy on that team. But they held together and stayed competitive. Now they got a new head coach with really a team that had some solid pieces. They don't have to worry about the offense can improve, but they don't have to worry about the offense. It was the defense that needed to improve. And bringing a player that knows how to beat Kansas City, oh, man, the Raiders go from a dark horse to a highly probable. Because right now, the prognosticators are looking at it as KC and the Chargers. And some are even going, then Denver, then the Raiders. I don't know why. And part of it, I guess, is because Mr. Wilson is now a Bronco, but it's that defense. The Raiders are competitive, and having a player like Suh, and Suh knows that, hey, Minnesota is not going to give him too much more money than the Raiders. The Raiders might actually edge out in the money because he ain't getting no big payday from any team anymore. Because they all go, dude, them days, this isn't that last big paycheck. This is, hey, last checks, because you ain't going to get the big contract. You already got that. So now it's a matter of, do you want to be on a team that has a legitimate chance they could be in the big game come February? And that team is the Raiders. And let the Raiders get Ndamukong Suh, they are going to make some noise in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying, First Lady.
All right, they get Ndamukong Suh, said they're going to make some noise in the playoffs. Now, the Vikings, like I said, may be a playoff contender. That's a big maybe playoff contender this year. But Super Bowl contender, we know they will not be a Super Bowl contender. So, the problem is, would Ndamukong Suh really want to spend but like you said, Spitface, potentially his last season, last year in the league on a team that may go to the playoffs. Even if they give him more money, and like I said, sometimes people are desperate for defensive players, so they may give him a good money. They're not going to, like I said, his last somewhat big check. It ain't going to be like a big check, but it's going to be better than the team that he's on will offer him, the Bucks. But, so that's why I say his better chances are going to be with the Raiders as far as having a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, the Raiders are adding a lot of defensive players. They've added a whole bunch of defensive players, through free agents. And they also added a lot of defensive players in the draft. So it seems like adding Sue would be a good fit. You have to have depth in your defensive side. And in Ndamukong Suh, he's 35 years old. He's still a whole lot better player than a lot of people that the Raiders already have. He's a defensive tackle, and they need defensive reinforcement. So they, like you said, they got to stop all them offenses that's in the AFC West. And right now that AFC West is loaded, not just with the Kansas City Chiefs, Spitface. We talking about the Chiefs. We talking about the Chargers. We talking about the Broncos. So there's a lot of offense in that AFC West. So it's the possibility that they definitely need Ndamukong Suh. And I think the Raiders would be a very, very good fit. And with Ndamukong Suh, I think they have a good chance of signing him to a decent contract. And the fact that, if they assign Ndamukong Suh with all the other defensive players that they've picked up this year, hey, look out for the Raiders. They also got a chance to come out of the AFC West into the Super Bowl contention. Because we know now Derek Carr, he has Devontae Adams, so that's going to be a lethal connection there. They just need to shore up that defense, and then Ndamukong Suh would definitely shore up their defense. So I think it's a better chance for him to be with the Raiders and definitely help with that defensive situation there. All right, Spitface, please take us to break.
All right, on the other side of the break, we have another performance from David Givens on Shout Out Part 2. Please stay tuned.
You are listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. It's time for Shout Out Part 2, the picks, and the finale. The music flows from around the globe to get a shout-out from the crew. Spitface, over to you.
All right, we have another performance from David Gibbons. DJ, let's hear Crush.
Put your hands up, shawty wanna get that good love. And you better put your hands up, surrender to me, girl. Take your toes, girl.
I am lost in translation. I just don't know what to say. I go breathless when I'm near you, but you don't even know my name. If I had one chance to tell you how I feel with one glance, approach you correctly, and I would say, put your hands up, shawty wanna get that good love. Then you better put your hands up, surrender to me, girl. Make your toes curl. You better put your hands up, shawty wanna get that good love. Then you better put your hands up, surrender to me, girl. Crush. I love you, I want you more than heaven above, but you don't wanna see what I have in my heart. I love you, wish I was brave enough to tell you about the way I really feel. Oh, I get so furious whenever guys hurt you, but you don't even know I'm there. I know I can't give you the world, but if you were my girl, I'd give you all this good loving in me.
Put your hands up. Shawty wanna get that good love. Put your hands up. Surrender to me, girl.
Surrender to me.
Put your hands up. Shawty wanna get that good love. You better put your hands up. Surrender to me, girl.
Crush. Put your hands up. Surrender to me. Surrender to me. Surrender to me. I need you to know how my heart feels. I need you to know how it feels. I need you to know. I need you to know. I need you to know.
All right, that was Crush by David Givens. First Lady, did he crush it?
Yeah, I'm gonna shout it out. I like his style, his music. I wouldn't consider it to be R&B, even though they said it's mellow R&B. It's more pop to me. But I do enjoy it. He has a very nice voice, and I definitely shouting him out.
All right. Well, I'm shouting out David. I thought he had a little groove going on. All right, now this is in a shout out. If you like what you heard from David Givens, check him out at davidworld.us. and Old Grumpy Radio Network. If you'd like to be heard or have any comments, please send your emails and tracks to content@oldgrumpyradio.com. First Lady, over to you.
All right. Who will win the hardball picks? And you know what? We're going to give that crown away today. And we'll start with the Major League Baseball, with the hardball picks starts right after. And then we'll have the Major League Baseball All-Star Game 2. So, now, Spitface, in politics, when you have several elections, a lot of times cities or counties have to do recounts. Well, we may have to do a recount for the winner of the hardwood ball. The crown, to be honest with you. First let me go over last week's. So it was a week before last picks. I ended up with 15 million picks. Dizzy Mac, 15 million picks, 15 million points. Dizzy Mac had 25 million points. And Spitface, you had 95 million points. 95 million points. So, I came in third place. And believe it or not, I came in third place with 110.5 million. You and Dizzy Matt tied for the crown at 199.5 million points. I couldn't believe it. When I totaled it up, that 95 points got you to a tie. Because, Dizzy Mac had been leading for several weeks. He's had some bad weeks lately, and that 95 million points brought you to a tie, 199.5. Now, the interesting thing about it, the reason why there was a tie, because we normally have 10 questions, but one of the questions had to be a null because the Game 5, the question was Game 5, the winning margin of the over and under 10 points. But it was exactly 10 points. So we couldn't do over or under because it was 10 points. Had that question, had it been even under, over by 1 point, we would have had a winner because you and Dizzy Mac had different answers. Dizzy Mac had over and you had under. So, unfortunately, though, it ended in a tie. So, I don't know. Should I do a recount? We'll just say, for the first time in the history of Broads, Panties, and Sports, we ended up with a tie. But we all knew that you can't have a tie when you go for crowns and regular games, right? You can't have two people. But you know what? When they give out awards, you can have ties. So this is an award. This is an award. So we have two people to share that crown. That's Dizzy Mac and Spitface. Congratulations. Congratulations.
And accepting the award for Dizzy Mac is Flipper. Flipper is cheering him on. All right.
Okay.
Now, I'll put it like this. You couldn't have bet on that one.
No, that was crazy. Like I said, in the history of our doing this show, that was the first time we've actually had a tie for the winner.
Mm-mm.
All right. Spitface, what is your top story this week?
Actually, my top story to watch this week is the Houston Astros. They've been on fire.
Really?
Yep, the Houston Astros. They had, back-to-back no-hitters against the New York Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's your top.
Yeah, what they doing.
All right. Well, my top story definitely is going to be about Kyrie Irving. What will Kyrie Irving do?
No.
He has a major decision that is due in 3 days. June 29th. Kyrie Irving has to decide if he's going to take his 30-something million players option. That is my top story. And there's so much drama right now with the whole basketball situation, because free agency is starting July 1st. So we'll definitely see how that's going to happen. And
do you think he's gonna take the option?
No,
I don't either.
I don't think he's going to take that option. No, I don't think so. Knowing Kyrie, like they say, he lost $17 million this year alone because he didn't want to get vaccinated. So he's okay with leaving money on the table. He's all okay with that.
Kyrie be heading to L.A.
Well, the only way he can get to L.A., he has to take their players, the mid-level exception for like $6 million. That's the only way, because I don't even think the Lakers have enough in salary to give back if they do a sign and trade. So, Kyrie put a list out. They got my Knicks on there, which I know he ain't going to the Knicks, and I don't know if the Knicks. Well, actually, I think the Knicks should take him, to be honest with you, because we need something. He put the Miami Heat. I mean, seriously, I don't even see Kyrie Irving in the Miami Heat. Not with their culture, not with the Don. No. So anyway, it's going to be. I mean, we'll probably discuss that next week, but it's definitely going to be interesting. All right, sports journalist Malika Andrews recently made NBA draft history. She was the first woman to host the NBA draft on ESPN on June 23rd. And the landmark moment appropriately came on the 50th anniversary of Title IX. All right. Shout out to Malika Andrews. I think she's doing an excellent job with the NBA report. And, you know, a lot of people thought after Rachel, I forgot Rachel's last name. See, she's like a thing of the past. Rachel left. You know, a lot of people thought that show would fall, but Malika Andrews has definitely pulled her weight, and she's a darn good journalist, and we're very proud of Malika Andrews. All right, join us and our partners, the Veteran Women's Enterprise Center, as we honor our veteran women and entrepreneurs. Please visit honorourveteranwomen.com, honorourveteranwomen.com. Check out our current and previous episodes at Panties and Sports.com and our Facebook page, BPN Sports. This is Cheryl Smith, the First Lady of Sports Talk and Spitface. You have been listening to Bras, Panties, and Sports. See you next week.